building over here in front of us, over here on the right side, this building with the huge clock tower. That was, believe it or not, the tallest building in Chicago when it was completed way back in 1921. It's the Wrigley Building. It was developed by William Wrigley. He was the chewing gum magnate. We've all probably sampled Wrigley's chewing gum, but he was also the owner of the Chicago Cubs National League Baseball team. And the Cubs had their offices in this magnificent building. This is where they planned all those secret trades and acquisitions that gave us all those National League pennants and World Series since 1908. It all happened in this building. But the building is done up in the Spanish Renaissance Revival style of architecture. It's an example of historically inspired architecture, and it was designed by the largest architectural firm in the world at the time. The name of the firm is Graham, Anderson, Probst & White, and it's lovingly clad in white terracotta. I'll talk more about terracotta later, but folks, for a while I want to concentrate on the buildings over here on the left side. The first one we're coming up at, if you look at the base of the building, it says London House. It's another Beaux-Arts inspired building. It's clad in kind of a beige terracotta. Next to it is the Kemper Insurance Building from 1962, another example of mid-century modernism, and I'll talk more about that later. But this building, the Kemper Building, entered the record books in '62 as the world's tallest building to be clad in marble, and it held on to that record for about 15 years. But the firm isn't even based here in Chicago. The name of the firm is Cohn, Pedersen & Fox. They started up in 1975, and now they're the largest architectural firm in New York City, which says a lot. They're one of the largest firms in the world. Hats off to Cohn, Pedersen & Fox with this magnificent ensemble of three buildings right here. Again, about Chicago, its river, and its meteoric growth, folks. Chicago was incorporated in 1837. There was about 4,000 people living here back then. 1848 was a sentinel year in Chicago history. A lot of important things seem to happen in the country. We're dropping like flies, particularly in the spring and the summer. The reason is we're floating on it. The Chicago River was our open sewer. Human waste, industrial waste. So they made the decision in 1892 to reverse the flow of the Chicago River. By 1900, we succeeded in doing that. Our waterborne disease rate plummeted overnight because we were sending all of our sewage, and this is very selfish, and I'm not proud of this, selfish of us, we were sending it down to St. Louis. And I'm not getting any, I'll talk more about that later, folks. I did want to point out over here on the left side, this beautiful blue glass building where the sanitary and ship canal begins. The American Society of Civil Engineers in the early 30s came up with a list of the 7 modern engineering marvels of the world, early 30s. On that list is the Empire State Building, Hoover Supreme Court case in 1906 involving a lawsuit from St. Louis to Chicago. Believe it or not, we won this case. I could talk more about it at the end of the tour. I just don't have time. You're going to be like, how did we win that case when we're sending all of our sewage down? But they found out that the water in the Mississippi River relied on in 1871 to support our local economy was pretty much intact. The damage to our economic infrastructure cake because it's going to win all sorts of, they're already talking about it. Look at, it looks like just like a long stem champagne glass, or short stem, but a big glass. So we're coming off the south branch of the Chicago River back onto the main stem. Still lots of great Chicago architecture to go, folks, including this building right in front of us. The largest office building. Right side of the building, and off in the distance you're going to see a building that looks like a, to me at least, it looks like a champagne bottle. It's an Art Deco building. It's the Hard Rock Hotel, and believe it or not, it's right over that Morton's the Steakhouse, and it's a lovely 1929 Art Deco building designed by Burnham Brothers. It was the Midwest headquarters in the University of Chicago, Northwestern University, all these wonderful institutions, I hope that people remember what I did with my own money to fight these special interests that were trying to deface our lakefront. And then from Daniel Burnham, we get an even more ambitious plan to redevelop our whole lakefront from private ownership and private use to public land and parks. When the epic 1909 Burnham Plan was released, Chicago only had 6 lakefront parks. Now we have 26 lakefront parks, and they go 21 miles down our lakefront. There's Lincoln Park, which is, I believe, about 4 miles long on the north side. There's Burnham Park, 3 miles long. So we have Daniel Burnham to thank for a lot of that.